Millions of people around the world have embraced a single philosophy as the answer to their pain. They call it strength. They call it discipline. They call it freedom. But what if the very philosophy they're using to cope is slowly destroying them from the inside? Stoicism is everywhere right now, on productivity channels, in self-help books, tattooed onto the arms of men who want to feel unbreakable. And no one is asking the dangerous question: what happens when a philosophy built for Roman generals is misused by ordinary people trying to survive modern life? Today, we go where others won't. This is the dark side of Stoicism, and it's been hiding in plain sight. To understand what went wrong, we have to go back to where it all began. Stoicism was born in Athens around 300 BC, but it was in Rome where it became something else entirely: a survival tool for people living under emperors, slavery, and constant war. Marcus Aurelius wrote his famous Meditations not as a book to be published, but as private notes to himself, a man trying to hold an empire together while watching everything he loved crumble around him. Epictetus, one of the greatest Stoic teachers in history, was a slave. He didn't choose Stoicism because it sounded cool. He chose it because it was the only control he had left. That is where this philosophy was born: in suffering, in powerlessness, in desperation. So when you see it being sold to you as a morning routine hack, something has gone very, very wrong. Here's the first thing no one tells you. Stoicism doesn't teach you to process your emotions. It teaches you to override them. And for most people, that's not strength. That's a slow psychological collapse wearing a philosopher's mask. Modern psychology is clear on this. Suppressing emotions doesn't make them disappear. It buries them. And buried things don't die. They rat. They fester. They resurface in ways you never expected, as rage, as numbness, as the inability to feel close to another human being. The Stoics called the ideal emotional state apatheia, freedom from destructive passions. But somewhere between ancient philosophy and modern Instagram quotes, apatheia became apathy, and nobody noticed. You know this person. Maybe you are this person. They never panic. They never cry. They keep moving. They say things like, "I don't let things affect me." And everyone around them thinks they're strong. But inside, there is nothing left. No grief, no joy, no real connection. Because Stoicism, misapplied, doesn't build emotional resilience. It builds emotional walls. The most famous Stoic idea is this: focus only on what you can control. Powerful, genuinely powerful, when used correctly. But here's where it turns dark. For millions of people, this idea has become the perfect philosophical justification for doing absolutely nothing. A toxic relationship? I can't control them. I can only control myself. So they stay. A career going nowhere? I can't control the economy. So they stop trying. A life that's slowly suffocating them? Accept what is. So they accept it. The Stoics never meant for this philosophy to be a sedative. Marcus Aurelius didn't sit quietly accepting Rome's decline. He fought every single day to improve it. Epictetus didn't tell slaves to be at peace with slavery. He taught people to preserve their inner dignity while fighting for external freedom. But the version being sold to you online has quietly removed the action. What remains is a philosophy of surrender dressed up as enlightenment, and it is keeping people trapped. Perhaps the darkest side of modern Stoicism isn't what it does to your emotions or your ambitions. It's what it does to your identity. Somewhere along the way, Stoicism stopped being a philosophy and became a personality, a brand, a tribe, an armor people wear so they never have to be vulnerable again. And when a philosophy becomes an identity, it becomes untouchable. You can't question it. You can't grow past it. Because to admit it isn't working is to admit that you aren't working. This is where Stoicism becomes something dangerously close to a cult of emotional unavailability, where men, in particular, use philosophy as the intellectual cover for never opening up, never asking for help, never admitting they are drowning. And they call it wisdom. Marcus Aurelius cried. He grieved his children. He doubted himself in writing, deeply, painfully. The real Stoics were profoundly human. What's being sold to you is not Stoicism. It is a performance of Stoicism. And performances are exhausting. None of this means Stoicism is wrong. It means it is incomplete, and it is being handed to you without the warnings. The real philosophy asks you to feel deeply and think clearly, to accept reality and fight to change it, to build inner peace and stay open to other human beings. That balance is extraordinarily hard, which is exactly why most people skip it and take the easier version instead, the one that lets them shut down and call it strength. The cracks in the statue aren't a flaw, they're proof it survived something. That is the Stoicism worth practicing. Don't just be unshakable, be real.